Hi guys, I'm Becky, my channel's Bexos. Welcome back if you're a subscriber and welcome if you're new. Today's vlog is very exciting. I am going to be talking to you all about the challenge So Phoenix, which is an Instagram challenge currently running through the month of September. This is a brand new challenge being organised by the wonderful Rachel from the French Seams, Sam from Let's Sparkle with Sam, and the lovely Catherine over to Makery. Now these three have all pulled together and they have come up with an exciting challenge, and I will pop in here the infographics for you to see. But essentially the challenge is about something from your past that maybe hasn't worked out quite as you hoped, maybe from the early days of your sewing, or something that you've done even of recent, but what you have learned, and then recreating that make and using that applied knowledge to make a phoenix rise from the ashes. And the challenge is called So Phoenix, which I just think is an amazing name for a challenge. Although my ex-husband did have a phoenix rising from the ashes tattooed onto his back after we were married, so I don't know what that says. Anyway, let's move on. I have thought long and hard about some of the things that I wanted to do as part of this challenge, and I have made one up so far, which I'm really pleased I've managed to do, so at least I know that I'm going to be entering into the challenge. I went back to the early days of sewing, and I can honestly say that I couldn't pull anything from them, because basically I learned to sew when I was in school, and then I got back into it when I was 23, 24, when my children were young. And what I did was I started with jersey, recreating maxi dresses. I followed a lady called Tamisha Ridge. She's no longer with us, on YouTube, one of the original sewing vloggers, and she showed you how to recreate from your makes. And I did a few of them and I took a few pictures. Then I kind of branched into doing a few bits for the girls, and they were quite small and fiddly. And then just life got really busy and in the way, so the sewing machine went away and I never really returned back to it until we hit lockdown, as so many people did, and we needed to make a few masks, so the sewing machine came back out. Now, when I started sewing in 2020, that meant that there was this whole new world of indie patterns to me, which weren't around when I was 21, 22, 23. And I never did the McCalls or the Big Four patterns because I never really understood the instructions. So roll on YouTubers, lots of addiction sharing, looking at various different things. Tilly and the Buttons entered my life and I tried a few of their patterns, and that was how my sewing journey grew, really. There was one Tilly and the Buttons pattern that I decided to tackle in my early days, because I used to recreate lots of looks out of jersey, and as some of you may know, viscose jersey is one of my favourite fabrics. I decided when I was very early getting back into sewing, pre-overlocker, that viscose jersey was one of those fabrics I wanted to try and make something in. And the first pattern that I went for was this lovely top from Tilly and the Buttons called the Cocoa top. Now, I don't even have a picture of this. I remember doing it, I remember putting it in the bin, and I remember why, but it was in like colours that you probably wouldn't even see me wear, because I've adapted a little bit more to knowing what I enjoy wearing. It was these pastel pinks and blues, so the garment probably would have never seen the light of day, just because the colours wouldn't have suited me anyway. And then it was a very drapey viscose jersey, and if anybody knows, you could make the Cocoa out of a viscose jersey. It would be a very different look to the look that's intended, but you could. But as a new back to garment sewing, picking jersey was not the best option, and I remember pulling together the neckline and it being horrific. I didn't understand the fit on a Tilly and the Buttons pattern, and now I know that I have to grade between sizes across the shoulders and out to the sides. So yeah, it was just a disaster. I think I started hemming it, and hemming the neckband, and it going very, very wrong, and it just went in the bin from there. So that was the first thing that I wanted to recreate, and I actually have that to show you. Now, I have remade the cocoa dress, but I've made it in a dress, not a top, and I've done it in a fabric that is suitable for the pattern to start off with. I used a Nerida Hansen sweatshirting fabric that I picked up in a shop in Hinckley on the day that Adele and I decided to start our little fabric shop, the Fabric Obsession. We went to this little sewing shop and did a little bit of shopping. So I picked it up from there, and I've had it in my stash now for a little while, and I've been wanting to use it. So I thought that would be perfect. And then I've graded it. So I've done my normal grading from a size 3 across the shoulders and out to a 4. I have made sure that I have followed my seam allowances, because for some reason, when I first started getting back into sewing, seam allowances, they weren't even a thing to me. So it does fit me the way that it should, and I'll pop in some pictures so you can see how this worked out. Now, why I left it as long as I have till now to do this make, I don't know, because this is an amazing make. I love anything with that kind of neckline. It's almost a boat neckline. I really want to make the funnel neck version. I love the fit and the way that it tapers in at the side, and the actual dress, I love the way that it comes out into that gorgeous little A-line, and because this has a bit of structure to this fabric, it picks that silhouette up beautifully. So I'm really thankful for this challenge, because I probably wouldn't have done that. I probably wouldn't have thought about that without this challenge being around. Now, the pattern, I remember I had the pattern in paper format, and I cut straight into it. So the pattern had actually gone in the bin, but I was very fortunate when I was at Sew Toon. We went as part of the Christmas group, which meant that we did Secret Santa, and the cocoa dress was in there. And that again has come back and sat in my stash waiting for me to revisit it. And obviously there's been lots of other things that have come along, so I've just not done that. So yeah, that is my first Sew Phoenix. So I'm going to post that on Instagram the day that this vlog comes out. I've been holding back because I wanted to share it for this particular vlog, but I do love it. If you watched our live on Saturday, you would have had a sneaky peek of this particular dress as well. So yeah, that's the first thing. So the second thing, I have actually got a photo of me in this. That is the Yanta overalls by Helen's Closet. Now, I've only made this pattern once. I made this about 3 years ago, I think, 2-3 years ago. It was when we were receiving the So Hayley Jane subscription boxes, and I was trying to make up the fabric every month. So I made this in a fabric that wasn't very me to start, so I think that's the first place that I went wrong. I was trying to make the fabric work for me, and the idea behind it was, I'm paying for this fabric, I need to make something, otherwise it's going to go into my stash and then go on my de-stash page. So that's the first mistake that I made. I was trying to make the fabric fit me, and that was never going to work. It was a beautiful Dashwood Studio needle cord. It just wasn't my colours, wasn't my style. Then you can see in the picture that the things aren't in the front where they should be. The sewing inside, I don't have this make anymore, but the sewing inside was shocking, particularly on the crossover at the back. Helen's Closet's instructions are amazing, but at that time I still felt like I was familiarizing myself with indie patterns and really growing and understanding the fit and how I liked things, and even playing with styling. I feel like in the last couple of years how I style things has come on. So yeah, there was lots of mistakes. Shoddy sewing, I'm not entirely sure that I picked the right size when I actually sewed it up, because I didn't realize that I could grade between sizes, or I realized it but I didn't grade between sizes, let's put it that way. And yeah, my markings wasn't right. Again, I was very slapdash, did not follow instructions fully, thought I know what I was doing, and I still do that to an extent, but I do go in and check and read through them thoroughly now. And I certainly mark my notches and other things a lot more than I used to. So I would like to give this a go, and I would like to give it a go in a needle cord. I can't show you the needle cord because it's at Adele's house, but we've had some new ones come into the shop, and they'll be going up this weekend. But it's a fabulous needle cord by, who's the needle cord by? It's gone from my head. I want to say it's a Little Johnny one. But it's reds, and it's got all these pops of colours over it. So it's still a patterned needle cord, but it's just one that I can style with a black polo neck, and I'm already thinking about how I can wear it. And I really want to recreate the Yantas out of it. I've had the pattern reprinted because my sizing has completely changed to the last time I made it as well. And I've had a look at the instructions at how I'm going to read it, and making sure that I follow it thoroughly. And yeah, the Yantas are going to be my next sort of phoenix rising from the ashes, and hopefully these ones stay in my wardrobe. I actually haven't got a pair of dungarees currently made in existence in my wardrobe, so it'd be really nice to have a pair in there for me to wear, because I do love a good comfy pair of dungarees. So that is make number 2. Now the third one, and this one I really hope I get time to do. I have made this dress 3 times and I have never got the fit right. I have never quite made a version that is wearable outside of me just wearing it for pride purposes because it was handmade. I'm going to show you my 3 versions because they're all on my Instagram, luckily, because I've been documented since I've made them. This is the Hazel dress by Rosary Apparel. The Hazel dress, sorry, I've got messages pinging through on my phone as I'm talking to you, and it's somebody saying thank you for doing something, and you can give me a big smooch when I next see you. And I read it and thought, who the hell is sending me that? So yeah, sorry, it was rather distracting and off-putting. So yeah, the Rosary Apparel Hazel dress, it is basically, or the way that I want to wear it is like a pinafore dress. It is very 1950s sort of style. It's got a nice fitted bodice, and then it's gathered in at the waist and out at the hips. It's a gorgeous dress, and it was inspired when I originally made it by Amelia, who is over here on YouTube and over on Instagram. She made a few of these and she used to wear them under over t-shirts, and she used to sort of style them up as everyday sort of wearing pinafore dresses, and then she had a couple that she wore just as a dress in the summer, so it was quite versatile in her wardrobe, and ultimately that was the vibe I was going for. So the first one I made was in a quilting cotton. It was in a Jules quilting cotton, which was okay for a dress, but it was a bit puffy. I think after I'd washed it a number of times and wore it, it was great. But the zip was not a concealed zip. It was not an invisible zip, because I've never managed to successfully install an invisible zip. That's first. I'm not even entirely sure that I've learned enough to still be able to do that. The top at the back where the zip joined was wonky. The strap, I had one that twisted over as well in this particular make, and this was my first one. And yeah, it just, the bottom of the zip inside, honestly, it was just terrible. It was terrible sewing, and it was zigzagged because I didn't have an overlocker at this point. So that's dress number 1. I'll pop in the pictures because it looks nice on the outside. It was wearable. I wore it when I was on holiday. The next one that I made when I was actually really poorly. And I think you can see in the picture, it was when I was being attacked by COVID and shingles and everything that's brought on me to have fibromyalgia. It was just one of those dresses that I made at a horrible time, so it's got a horrible memory attached to it, but I didn't get the fit right. It was too tight on me for a start. It was in a gorgeous viscose that I got from a So Hailey Jane box. I don't think that I hemmed it properly, so it was slightly wonky on the hem. The zip again wasn't invisible, and it was wonky at the back. Obviously hadn't learnt my lessons from that. I got the facing and the strap right in that one though, so that was a step forward. And then the third one I made, again in a really thin lightweight viscose, aimed for a winter version, and the one time that I wore it and it's styled, I had a jumper on underneath it, but again it was too tight on me. I did not get the fit right. The zip was better installed, the straps were okay, the insides were finished a bit neater, but it still was not wearable in my wardrobe beyond that one time of wearing it for pride purposes, which is a real shame because I love everything about this dress. So that leads me to wanting to get this made up. Now, there's a couple of options of fabric that I can go for. I can be sensible and I can go for a needle cord. I can go for a plain needle cord to wear it as a pinafore, and I've got some gorgeous red needle cord that I could do that with. It's a lightweight needle cord, so it would work. It would gather lovely, but it would still have enough drape that doesn't make it too poofy. I could do it in one of my very many viscoses that I have. I have lots here in my stash of viscose, and that is a real contender. But the one that is probably the most in contention is one that I made a terrible dress by Helen's Closet. It's a lovely dress, lovely pattern, but my version was awful. So much so that I repurchased this fabric from Emmy's D-Stash page, from Sewing Emmy. And it's this, and I could remake it out of this because it's a slightly thicker weight fabric, and I could see this with like a nice red t-shirt. I mean, it's not a thick weight, but it's just a decent weight viscose. I think I could get a zip into it nice and easy, and I can draw the red from the pink and red to wear underneath, because I do like to wear a lot of red, and I have got some amazing red boots coming from Vinted, hopefully at some point this week, that I have purchased because I've been on a bit of a vintage shoe shopping spree recently. And I'm thinking that that could definitely work and go and style with this. So this one is a definite contender. I do have a couple of other fabrics in my stash that could potentially work. And I could raid through some of the new fabrics that are coming into the Fabric Obsession that I could also put in place. So I'm not 100% fixed on what I am going to make it out of, or the fabric I'm going to make it out of. But what I do know is I'm going to choose a fabric that has enough structure for the dress, that isn't too thin and lightweight that it becomes really fiddly and difficult to sew. And if it does, I'm going to use starch spray. So I think I'll even use starch spray for this. I'm going to use zipper tape, which is one of the learnings that I had, to try and get that zip in properly. Now, I haven't perfected the invisible zip, but I've definitely improved, and it's less visible. So that's a good thing. And you never know, this one might be invisible. It's a learning journey, and that's the whole point of this challenge. And definitely with the facings, everything like that. But the other thing is sizing. I know what the sizing's like. I know what the darts are like. So I think that's going to be a key thing for me. And what I will probably actually do ahead of making this up is do a quick toile in calico of the bodice to make sure that I get that right, because I've done this dress now 3 times and I've still not got it right, and I love the dress. If it doesn't work on this final occasion, I'm going to go, this dress isn't for me. But that is my intention, to make up the Hazel dress by Rosary Apparel. So they are the one thing I've already made for Sew Phoenix, the 2 things I am thinking of making for Sew Phoenix, and some ideas and plans that I intend to incorporate around them, and some of the learning activities and things that I've come a long way since I last made them, and how that I'm going to apply them. There is a hashtag for Sew Phoenix Help as well, so if you want help with a make that you need, you can do that. I will pop all the details of the challenge in the box down below, but you can enter anytime through the month of September, remembering to tag in Sam, Catherine and Rachel, and the hashtag Sew Phoenix. So yeah, hopefully you've got all of that. All the infographics have shown everything. I will link the original vlog that they popped up down below, so you can go over and check that out if you're unsure of what I'm talking about. And make sure that you follow the vlogger talkers, because there are some amazing vloggers all talking about their recreations or their reattempts or what they've learned. And a lot of people have gone back to the beginning of their sewing journey and the things that they didn't know then, and you only know what you know, as Rachel says. So yeah, it's an interesting challenge. Thank you so much, girls, for bringing this our way, and I cannot wait to share with you all of my makes, and I will catch you all soon. Take care. Bye.